In the last movie, we looked how we could use background images and borders to make our field sets more interesting. In this movie, we're going to look at how we can use floats, along with heights and widths, to create field sets in a grid layout. So first of all, I'm going to dive straight into some code. So I'm going to open up my text editor, and here we can see that at the top of the style element, I'm retaining the styles from the previous movies. Without further ado, I'm going to add some new styles this time for field sets. Now you might recall from the previous movie how we used margins, paddings and background images and borders to create an interesting striped background effect. But now we've also added an additional 3 rules. The first is to float all the field sets left and give them a specific height and width. So I'm going to save that file, move over into our Firefox browser and refresh. And with just those 3 simple lines of code, we can start to create a very interesting form layout. I'm going to dive straight back into the code editor. And for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm just going to duplicate the field set here. Of course, in your own work, you'll be using different form elements. I'm going to duplicate that twice to demonstrate how we can build up this grid. So let's save the file, switch straight back over into the browser and refresh. And now we can see how multiple field sets can be combined on a single page in a very attractive and intuitive grid layout. The thing to note, of course, is that despite the fact that we've got field sets side by side in the source order, if we remove any CSS, we'll see that all of those field sets are still in a logical order for people using assistive technologies or screen readers. So let's refresh the page. And one final rule to add is the hover state, which we can also now apply to field sets. Earlier on in previous movies, we used the hover state and active and focus states on form inputs. Here we're using it on field sets by giving this a different colour border. So once more, let's save that file and bounce straight back over into the browser. Let's refresh, and we won't see any immediate change until we now start to move our mouse over these field sets. There's a very subtle border there, just to give the viewer a visual indication that he's hovered over the right field set. Good way of giving a little bit more interaction and feedback to users when they're using forms. So in the last movie, we're going to look at how we can replace the browser's default slab-like buttons with something which is a little bit more attractive with CSS.